Okay, we have been working on the Show Me Readers Award for the last couple of months, and I'm super excited because the time has finally come. We have read all 10 books, and it is time to vote. So, just a reminder, when you are voting, that means you are voting for the book. You are selecting and choosing the book that you liked the best out of the 10 books that we read, the book that you thought was the most interesting, the book that you thought had the best pictures, the book that you thought was the best story, and the one that you think deserves the Show Me Readers Award. Of course, you would never vote for a book that you didn't like. That wouldn't make sense. Of course, you would never vote for the book that you kind of liked it. You are going to vote for your favorite, the one that you're like, yes, this is my most favorite book. It's so good. And the book that you want other people to read. So if one of these books were like, oh my goodness, I got to go home and tell my mom and my dad or whoever I live with that this is the book that they need to read this book. It's so good. Then you know that is the book that you should vote for, or the book that you want to tell your friend about or your teacher about. You want your teacher to check it out so they can read it to your classroom. That is the book that you want to vote for, that you are so excited about. And that is going to be your favorite book, because I know some of you liked all 10 books, and that's okay too. Now you just have to choose your favorite. So as a reminder, I'm just going to quickly go through the 10 books just to remind your brain what they were about, because for some of them, it's been a while. So the first book that we read was Thankful. And then remember, this is a story about the girl where literally each day, and she was just trying to remember different things that she was thankful for. And she created a thankful chain from writing down all of those different things, which is really honestly a great practice to do, that when you're not feeling very happy about different things in your life, you can just start looking at all the little things. And that's what she did. She just started with all the little things. And then she realized that she just was really thankful for being alive in her world. So the first book we read was Thankful. Then we read Be Strong, where we learned that things in life are not really that easy. And she learned different qualities from her parents and from other adults. Remember, she said, Dad says being strong means showing up, like when our neighborhood wakes up early to help people who have lost their homes. So we know that there is different things about being strong. Mama says being strong means speaking up. So showing up, speaking up. And then remember, she learned from her grandma to not giving up. And she wanted to be strong. So this is a little inspirational story about how you can be strong too. Then we read I Eat Poop, a dung beetle story, where remember the dung beetle was really embarrassed because his diet consisted of poop, and we learned that dung beetles are actually real, although this is a fiction story, and he was really embarrassed about that. But then remember, at the end, he realized that all of the insects were super weird, and everybody is unique and different, and we're not all the same, and that's what makes us special. And then he didn't have to be embarrassed by that, right? And because once he realized that all of his friends, right, that had different weird attributes, that it was okay. It's okay to be different. Then we read What Can You Do with a Rock? It was actually really interesting about all of the different things that you can do with a rock, and how rocks are great conversation starters, and rocks can help you make friends, and you can collect rocks from different places that you visit, that rocks are super unique. So for all of those people that are huge rock fans, and I know that during this time, a lot of my rocks and mineral books of nonfiction were checked out. So what can you do with a rock? Then we had Norman Didn't Do It. Yes, he did. Where Norman, remember, his little friend was the tree, and Mildred. And then he got really jealous because there was a new tree that sprouted up, and he didn't like that. So remember, he dug the little sapling tree and went and put it on an island by itself, and he felt really bad about that. And then he realized that actually having more friends, having another tree, wasn't so bad, because then remember, he was able to have a hammock. And then look, the squirrel ended up being upset because it looked like he was jealous of having Norman there. Also, Ryan T. Higgins, we have the Bruce swap, which was in the Bruce series. I know a lot of you have discovered these Bruce books that are very funny, where Bruce's cousin came in, who was fun. Remember, Bruce is not fun. His cousin is fun. And he destroyed Bruce's house, and all of the fun actually wasn't really fun because it was making a mess. And so then when Bruce finally came back, his mice friends and the geese decided they didn't really like the cousin, and they actually liked Grumpy Bear Bruce, right? Okay. Then we read Hugo in The Impossible Thing. The Impossible Thing was climbing that cliff, and each of his friends, animal friends, they had never tried it, even though they said it was impossible. And in this, we learned that how do you know something's impossible until you try? And so they all worked together because they all had different strengths, right, and qualities. So they all worked together. And if you remember, right, they were able to actually do the impossible thing, and they made it to the other side, which was greener and more beautiful. And they wouldn't have known that unless they would have actually tried and that working together. Okay. Then we read, and I don't have this book because it's checked out, where we read A Walk in the Words, which was really a fascinating book about, it was a story about, it was really hard for that little boy to read. And he wasn't a fast reader, and words didn't, sounding out words didn't come easy for him. And he felt overwhelmed, and he felt that people were making fun of him and the words were after him. But then he kind of just took it a step at a time, and he started drawing pictures, and he had some tools in his tool belt on learning how to enjoy reading. And that's exactly what he did, because he just really wanted to be able to find out what happened at the end of the story, and he didn't give up. And if you remember right, I told you at the end of the book, there was the author's note that we discovered that that was actually the author's personal story, but they were writing about themselves because they have something called dyslexia. Then we read Invasion of the Unicorns, where the unicorn was the spy coming down to check out Earth. And at first he was pretty skeptical, but then he started to really, I think, fall in love with his the little girl that he was with, and he loved the bedtime routine, and she was so sweet and all of the things. And so instead of invading Earth, remember, he said, let's not invade it. Let's have a vacation here. So completely changed how he felt about Earth. And then Negative Cat, where most cats appreciate a toy mouse and might even purr once in a while, but not Max, who prefers to stare at the wall. He has a bad attitude. One by one, his new family gives up on him, except for the boy who loves his cat so much he'll do anything to keep him, even the thing he dreads most, which, as it turns out, makes everything quite positive. So Negative Cat. So out of those 10 books, which one did you like the best? Which one do you want to vote for?